Hey everyone, I'm Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and welcome to episode 128 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. Alright, so we are finally finished with the main story of Danganronpa 2. We've now completed Danganronpa 1 and 2 on Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload, and there are a few post-game things to do. In the previous game, the only post-game thing that we had to do was School Mode, which is very similar to what they have here, which is called Island Mode. It's essentially almost exactly the same thing. That's going to be the thing that takes us the longest. There's also Magical Miracle Girl Monomi. Experience the battles between Monomi and the Mono Beasts that occurred behind the scenes. This is like a little mini game. It's not like the best thing in the world, but it's also not like the worst thing in the world. So we'll eventually get to that. I'm going to do that probably after I do the first thing, and that is the novel. Now, the first thing I have to say is I may have referred to this as Danganronpa 1F in the previous episode, or even in the episode before that, but probably just in the previous episode. It's actually Danganronpa IF. For whatever reason, it just doesn't look like the word if to me. So yeah, that's why I refer to it as 1F, so whoops. You can read the light novel Danganronpa IF, written by that amazing writer. Alright, ready for the music? Yeah, let's go. The following novel contains references to characters who appeared in the novel Danganronpa 0. I think that might be a real novel, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. Alright, character introduction, let's go here. So it's basically all of the characters from the first game. They just give you a really small look into the names and ultimate abilities of the first game's characters, as well as, everyone, including Mukuro, Ikusaba. Yeah, this is not very long. It's 700 pages, and the pages are, fairly small. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take. I think it'll take me 7 episodes, but I'll have to see when it hits 20 minutes on this episode and see where we are. So let's go from the beginning. I'm also not going to be reading it in any special voices because it's hard to predict like who's going to talk next. With when I was playing the main game, it was easy to tell who was talking next because 99% of the time the person talking was the person on screen, so it was easier for me to do my voices. With this, I think it kind of suits just being a narrator, and I'll just read it with my usual voice. Okay, so here we go. So if you do, I'll show you in a second here. Monokuma's monologue. The world is full of ifs. If Adam hadn't tied the knot with Eve, society as we know it never would have been born. The world that everyone lives in is just one outcome among countless ifs, and will continue to be a muddled world overflowing with infinite ifs. Let me just check something. Okay, so as soon as you get into the first page, if you press left and right, you can actually see how many pages there are, or it tells you what page you're on, so this is just page 1. And then that number needs to reach, it's just a little over 700, like 706 or 10 or something like that. So let's see how far we can get in this first episode. If is what's in miso soup, What lies beyond this point is a scary world filled with if-fee stepfathers who abandon their families. A Klein bottle, where the inside and the outside are filled with uncertainty. I don't know what a Klein bottle is. But don't break it, okay? It'd be so expensive that there's no way you'd ever be able to pay me back. Ahem. But no matter how you look at it, ifs are simply worlds like any other. No matter how hypothetical the story may be, the future is the only thing that's truly foggy. And the past is more solid than a frozen banana. You can't change a conclusion that has already happened. Even if you see a world that may have existed, it wouldn't affect the people living in reality. Because if is only if, after all. Even if a parallel world exists where a particular if actually happened, humans cannot cross the boundaries between worlds that easily. No matter how far if goes, it will always be a what-if scenario. Do you really want to see that? You've got some sick interests. Don't you think that's an insult to Makoto and the others after the tragedy they overcame? Though as far as I'm concerned, I'll still insult them. If you're going to look at if, I think it's better if you view the outside of the Klein bottle first. It might even be better if you view the ending of a video game called Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Try to play it multiple times, and spend your free time with Junko Enoshima at least 3 times too. It may be ideal if you can collect all the items and movies too. But if you guys have come this far, I'm sure you've already done all that. Yep. Still, I'd buy the game if I were you. I'd actually buy at least 2 copies if I were you. The curtain lowers. I did buy 2 copies. I bought the PS Vita copy and I bought this copy. So go me. Trigger Happy Havoc, If, Danganronpa, The Button of Hope, and Tragic... I missed the title. Whatever. No, I can't. Okay, what should I do with this? Makoto Naegi was at a loss. Despite his hesitation, his situation was extremely simple and composed of 3 key factors. The first factor was that Makoto was currently locked inside a school. Hope's Peak Academy is a school for the privileged elite, and each student attending possesses ultimate talent. Makoto was chosen to attend Hope's Peak Academy by a lottery held to select the ultimate lucky student. When he arrived for his first day of school, he immediately lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he saw all the exits and windows had been sealed shut. The next factor was Monokuma, a mysterious robot bear being operated by the mastermind, and the announcement he made to all the students. "You'll be living your whole life in this academy," he declared. "If you want to leave, then kill someone and become the Blackened." This strange, remote-controlled robot was telling Makoto and his fellow Ultimates to start killing each other in exchange for their freedom. They learned that more than one Monokuma exists, and that each one contains a bomb to prevent anyone from attacking them. On top of that, Monokuma announced that anyone who attempted to harm him would receive punishment. The third and final factor was the red button that Makoto was currently holding in his hand. The words "escape button" were crudely written on this button in marker, and though the first 2 factors were certainly causes of panic, Makoto only seemed at a loss over the third. During his free time, Makoto noticed that the school store was open, and his curiosity got the better of him. He was overwhelmed by the disjointed atmosphere upon entering, but his attention soon focused on a strange vending machine. The words "Mono Mono Machine" were written on it, and it seemed to accept the strange, bear-patterned coins they sometimes found inside the school. It seemed like a bad idea, but Makoto thought there might be a chance that this machine could dispense some way of escaping the school. And so he inserted the only coin he had into the coin slot, and the result was the escape button mentioned earlier. There's a limit to how much you can tease us. Maybe the mastermind who trapped us in here is making a cruel joke. These thoughts filled Makoto's mind, and he began to feel deeply discouraged. However, there's always a chance, right? Makoto was just an ordinary boy, and he only gained entry to Hope's Peak Academy through a lottery to find the ultimate lucky student. Maybe that luck was the real deal. If this button is real, maybe I can let Sayaka... Makoto took a deep, slow breath and pressed the button. Instantly, pain burst through his entire body. Ugh. Makoto's arms and legs went limp as he lost his balance and fell to the floor in a crumpled heap. As he breathed heavily, it dawned on him what had just happened. I got electrocuted? He looked down at the button in his hand and noticed a small needle sticking out of it. Makoto quickly surmised that an electric current must have been running through it. After regaining enough of his strength to stand back up, Makoto thought about it once again. I should have known. It was a fake. Just how sick and twisted was the mastermind. My head still feels a little woozy. I should go back to my room and rest today. With that in mind, Makoto walked out of the school store with slow, careful steps. But Makoto didn't know yet. If the escape button really was a fake, it would have been an act of mercy from the mastermind. A small, bear-shaped shadow began moving around inside the now empty school store. The shadow, Monokuma, stood before the Mono Mono machine and stared at it silently. But after some time had passed, he began to laugh, a cold, hollow laugh utterly devoid of emotion. Pooh! Pooh! Despite the fact that he was alone, Monokuma began to talk, almost as if he was speaking to someone. Perhaps Monokuma was talking directly to the mastermind controlling him. I only put that in the Mono Mono machine because I thought it'd be interesting if one of the last few survivors happened to win it. But with a success rate of 0.000000001%, I never thought anyone would actually win it. Perhaps I should have expected the ultimate lucky student to overcome such impossible odds. Monokuma started blushing and breathing heavily for no apparent reason. A robot like Monokuma doesn't need to breathe, but because his technology is super advanced, he can express himself like a living creature. Makoto was chosen through a lottery, and now he's won this escape button through a lottery. This is obviously impossible, right? Is this what a miracle is? Is this all systems go toward escaping? Is something that defies all common sense about to come crashing into my world? Huff puff. Well, even though I don't really want this at all, I'm starting to enjoy this new sensation. We'll be back after these commercials. Monokuma's internal machinery began running at full capacity, and his facial expressions began changing more smoothly than any humans could. Suddenly, his expressions immediately stopped, and he whispered through his speakers. But is this really good luck? Oh, ho 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 ho, mwahahaha. After muttering something so ominous, Monokuma's loud, screeching laughter rang jarringly throughout the room. The situation that was about to unfold contained two conflicting emotions in equal measure: hope and despair. Alright, let me have a look. Nice, okay. Wow, okay. The next day, nighttime, student dormitory, Makoto's room. Makoto Naegi lay on his bed, desperately struggling with the despair and hope churning within him. Monokuma had forced the students to each watch a DVD earlier that day. Makoto showed a scene that suggested his parents and little sister were in danger, and he now found himself determined to leave the school. It seems the other students were forced to watch shocking videos of their own. Videos so shocking that they were now determined to escape the school too. Even if it meant sacrificing someone to do it. However, it was obvious that these videos were part of Monokuma's trap. As long as the student killed someone, they were allowed to graduate and leave the academy. It seemed that the mastermind controlling Monokuma was hell-bent on making the students kill each other. But right now, Makoto was most worried about Sayaka Maizono, who seemed to be incredibly distressed after watching her DVD. Sayaka wasn't just the ultimate pop sensation, she was also Makoto's classmate when they were students at Blackroot Junior High. Her optimism had been encouraging Makoto these past few days, and he was becoming a similar source of strength for her as well. If nothing else, I have to at least save Sayaka. As soon as Makoto thought that, he suddenly felt a small headache. Was he still reeling from being punched by Mondo the other day, or was this a side effect of being electrocuted by the escape button? As Makoto pondered these things, the pain slowly subsided, and he returned to his determined thoughts of escape. Anyway, we all need to work together, and... Huh? At that moment, Makoto realized his goal had changed slightly. We all need to? Ideally, it would be best if everyone survived together. However, aside from Sayaka, Makoto had never met the other students before. He didn't know if they could even be trusted in the first place. But at that moment, he trusted them without even an ounce of suspicion. He believed they were worth helping, even at the cost of his own life. Just like Sayaka. Why? The headache struck again, as if all the blood vessels in his brain were being individually sliced open. Why did I just think that I could trust the others as much as I trust Sayaka? Makoto tried to figure out why his thought process had suddenly changed. Something was wrong. The throbbing pain in his head seemed to synchronize with the strange feeling that something was approaching him. As a ray of light began to form within the dark recesses of his own mind, the doorbell rang. Someone's here? He quickly got out of bed, but that only made the headache worse. With no concern for his safety, Makoto carelessly opened the door to his room and came face to face with Sayaka. I'm really sorry to come by so late. Sayaka? The pain. What are you doing out so late? The moment he saw her face, the pulsating pain in Makoto's head began accelerating. He felt like his world was being torn apart from the inside out. Sorry to bother you, but something really weird just happened, and... Makoto? What's wrong? You don't look so well. Sayaka was pale and had been trembling when she came to Makoto's room, but she seemed surprised to see that his complexion was worse than her own. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just my head. Makoto couldn't finish his sentence. His eyes rolled back into his head as he lost consciousness and slowly fell to the floor. And Sayaka's beautiful voice let out a scream as she stood over Makoto's body. The next day, the nurse's office. Oh, you're awake. Hey, you okay? How many fingers am I holding up? As Makoto regained consciousness, he was greeted by the sight of fingers adorned with long fake nails being waved in his face. You're Junko, right? Hey, why do you sound so unsure? I'm a little shocked to hear you say that. Despite what she said, Junko Enoshima, the ultimate fashionista, was laughing as if she found this all very amusing. Makoto looked around and realized he'd never seen this place before. It looked somewhat like a hospital. 3 beds, including his own, were lined up in the room, with various medical instruments laid around them. The black ceiling felt strangely oppressive, but as he sat up, Makoto's mind immediately centered on one possibility. Where are we? Did we get rescued? That'd be nice, huh? She replied as she looked away. Junko explained that this was the nurse's office on the first floor of the academy. That Monokuma thing said, "I can't bear to see my precious students getting sick," and opened this place up this morning. But don't you think it's suspicious? What if all these meds are poison? To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Makoto remembered his encounter with the escape button and let out a small sigh. So why am I here, Junko? You should thank Sayaka for that. She was here the whole night taking care of you. She was? Junko ignored Makoto's surprise and continued casually talking. But then Taka got all fired up and was like, "We should take turns watching over him. I just happened to be on duty when you woke up." Well, and even then, only because Byakuya ditched. I see. Thanks. Like I said, you should thank Sayaka. Anyway, how are you feeling? Is everything alright? Huh? Makoto thought about it for a moment and remembered what he had been thinking about just before he lost consciousness. This is kind of weird, but... Actually, it's a really weird question, but... What's up? Junko, we've never met each other before, right? Upon hearing this, Junko's eyes widened, but a few seconds later she began to laugh. Huh? Are you for real? That pickup line is like, so totally played out, you know? Even though she was grinning, a serious look came over her face. Just so you know, you shouldn't expect anything like that from me. I know I look this way, but I take my virtue pretty seriously. No, I mean, I never expected... Well, that's what I figured. It's obvious that you're a total omega male anyway. Makoto and Junko continued to talk to one another. Although he wondered why Junko was talking to him instead of leaving to get the others, Makoto didn't question it. He just wanted to talk to someone, anyone. As long as he interacted with his fellow students, he believed he would learn the truth about what was going on inside his head. 10 minutes later. Junko mostly talked about alpha males and omega males, her time being homeless, and about her past and her dreams for the future. The last topic was a lot heavier than the previous ones, but Makoto's calm demeanor seemed to cheer her up. She smiled sincerely and said softly, "Thanks, Makoto." Maybe it was a sign of gratitude for listening to her troubles, but she kept that same smile as she blurted out something horrifying. In return, I promise that if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. Don't say scary stuff like that. At least, that's what Makoto thought, but the words that came out of his mouth expressed a different sentiment. I see. Thanks. But I wouldn't want you to become the Blackened in the first place. For some reason, Makoto felt like the murderous words that came out of Junko's mouth seemed like a natural thing for her to say. She seemed very surprised by Makoto's response, and quickly blurted out, "Huh? Are you serious? I was just kidding." "Huh? Oh yeah, of course. Sorry for acting so weird." "No worries, let's just chalk this up to you being woozy from your recovery." She returned to her usual bubbly self, let out a big stretch, and turned to Makoto. "I'm gonna get going now. Make sure you don't get killed before the next person arrives." After seeing her off, Makoto laid back down on the bed and started thinking to himself. What is this strange feeling? His dull headache continued as his thoughts began to blur. I was just talking to Junko, but I feel like I was talking to someone else. Who is she? The more he thought, the more it felt like his memories were sinking into a thick swamp. Each throb of pain pulsing in his head felt like a wave on the surface of that swamp. What is this feeling? It felt very unpleasant, as though someone's voice was screaming at him from inside his head. Makoto tried to organize his thoughts and go over everything that had happened to him, but he was interrupted by the sound of a bell. Unlike the dorm rooms, the nurse's office didn't have a doorbell. The bell sound that Makoto heard was ringing throughout the entire building. Ahem, testing, mic check, 1, 2. This is a test of the school broadcast system. It was Monokuma's voice. Now that Makoto has finally woken up, please assemble at the gym. Makoto listened to Monokuma's heartless order and got out of bed without complaining. I have to go. He walked one step at a time in accordance with the rhythm of his throbbing headache. Slowly, he walked forward. Not knowing if where he was headed was heaven or hell. Okay, let me check how many things. The gym. Nice. Makoto, are you alright? Sayaka ran over to Makoto as soon as he entered the gym. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about yesterday. I guess I really worried you. Please don't apologize. I'm sorry, too. I barged into your room when you weren't feeling well. Now that you mention it, said Makoto, what happened yesterday? Sayaka looked away for a brief moment, but immediately turned back, smiled her pop sensation smile, and shook her head. It's nothing. I'll tell you some other time. Huh? While they were talking, Kiyotaka Ishimaru, the ultimate moral compass, stepped forward, pointing an accusatory finger at Makoto. You're late, Makoto. Explain why you were tardy. The other students collectively raised their eyebrows, as if they were thinking, why is this guy yelling at someone who was sick? However, Makoto just smiled gently and answered him honestly. I didn't feel well, so I was resting in the nurse's office. Can you note that in the daily logbook? I see, that's consistent with my information. If that's the case, then I shall consider this matter settled. The conversation progressed smoothly, and Taka smiled as he kept talking. Ha 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 ha, I'll take full responsibility for recording it. You just focus on recovering. If you ever feel ill, please report to the health committee. It seems we'll need to appoint health committee members after this meeting though. Taka walked away, mumbling to himself as he opened a daily logbook he found in the academy supply room. Celestia Ludenberg, the ultimate gambler, saw the whole conversation and walked up to Makoto. Despite his unreasonable behavior, you knew exactly what to say to him. Okay, 75. Huh? As soon as Celeste said that, it dawned on Makoto. It's true that he didn't feel well and that he had been resting in the nurse's office. But when Taka asked him why he was late, even though he should have already known the reason, Makoto didn't feel annoyed or disappointed at all. It was as if he expected Taka to say that. Makoto felt strange that he had accepted Taka's personality so quickly. He couldn't understand why he asked Taka to do something as unnecessary as recording it in the daily logbook in the first place. Why did I say that? It's like I was used to it. His response to Taka's demands came as naturally to him as breathing. Why? Every time he tried to think about it, his headache grew even worse. As Makoto struggled to think through the pain of his headaches, a black and white stuffed animal jumped out from behind the gym's podium and began twirling around as it spoke in a cheerful voice. Hey guys, is everyone here? He sounded like he was about to lead the students on a field trip, but not a single one of them had a smile on their faces. Alright, let's leave the things here. If you need to take a pause break, you press the square button, you can just insert a bookmark. And when you hit novel on the main menu, I'll actually just show it off real quick. So return to title, hit novel, you get to this screen, then you can just continue from there. Okay, so we'll leave things here and we'll continue next time. I didn't quite get to 100 pages, but I did talk a little bit before we started, so hopefully in the next episode I can get closer to 200 pages. Alright, so I want to thank you all for watching episode 128 of Let's Platinum Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. My name is Ultima456, you're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.